Have you ever wondered if it's too late to find love? If the years that have passed somehow disqualify you from happiness? Today's story might just change your perspective forever. If this touches your heart, please hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for more life-changing stories that remind us it's never too late for a second chance. Emma stood frozen in the doorway of the coffee shop, her hand still gripping the handle. Through the window, she could see him already waiting, Mark, with his kind eyes and the slight nervousness in how he adjusted his watch. At 47, she hadn't expected to be here again, feeling like a teenager before a first date. But there was something different about this man she'd been messaging for weeks. Something that made her brave enough to try again after years of solitude. She watched as he glanced up, scanning the entrance. Their eyes met through the glass, and his face transformed with a smile that reached all the way to his eyes. Emma took a deep breath and stepped inside. The coffee shop hummed with afternoon energy, college students with laptops, business people on quick breaks, and in the corner by the window, a man who had taken a chance on her dating profile despite her hesitation to even create one. "Emma," Mark said, standing as she approached. His voice was warm, just like in their phone conversations. "I was starting to worry you might have changed your mind." "I almost did," she admitted, settling into the chair across from him. "3 times on the drive over." He laughed, and the sound eased something tight in her chest. "I'm glad you didn't." Mark was 52, with salt and pepper hair that somehow made him more handsome rather than simply older. His hands, she noticed, were strong but gentle as he pushed a second coffee toward her. He'd remembered how she took it from their conversations. "I ordered for you. I hope that's okay." "Perfect," she said, wrapping her fingers around the warm mug. "Thank you." Their conversation flowed easily, jumping from books they'd both loved to places they hoped to visit someday. Mark spoke about his work as an architect with passion that made his eyes light up. Emma found herself sharing stories about her students. She'd been teaching high school English for over 20 years, in a way she rarely did with new people. It wasn't until their second round of coffee that Mark mentioned his daughter. "Lily's 17, he said, his expression softening. "Senior year. College applications are driving us both a little crazy right now." "You're raising her alone?" Emma asked, remembering this detail from their messages. Mark nodded. "Her mother left when she was 4. It's been just us since then." The way he said it, without bitterness, just stating a fact, made Emma admire him even more. She'd never had children of her own. Her marriage had ended after 12 years when her husband decided he wanted a different life, one that included children she couldn't give him. "She must be your world," Emma said. "She is," Mark agreed. "But she's also been telling me for years that I need to find someone who makes me happy. She worries about me being alone when she goes to college next year." Emma smiled. "She sounds wise beyond her years." "Too wise sometimes," Mark laughed. "She's the one who convinced me to try online dating. Said I was too young to resign myself to talking to plants for company." Their laughter mingled, and Emma felt something she hadn't in years, possibility. As the afternoon stretched into early evening, they finally stood to leave. Outside, the autumn air had turned crisp, and Emma pulled her cardigan tighter around herself. "I'd like to see you again," Mark said, his voice quiet but certain. Emma hesitated. The afternoon had been perfect, too perfect, perhaps. In her experience, perfect things often revealed their flaws later, when you'd already invested your heart. "Mark, I should probably ask, does my age bother you?" The question had been weighing on her mind. Though only 5 years separated them, she knew men often sought younger women, especially men like Mark who still had so much life ahead of them. Mark's brow furrowed slightly. "Your age?" "I'm 47, she said, though he already knew this. "Most men want someone younger, especially someone who might still." She couldn't finish the sentence. Mark was quiet for a moment, and Emma's heart sank. Then he reached for her hand, his touch gentle but firm. "Emma, when my wife left, she told me she was too young to be tied down to a family. She was 32. His eyes held Emma's steadily. Age has never been the measure of someone's capacity for love or commitment. What matters is who you are now, today. And today, you're the woman I've been waiting to meet for a very long time." The simplicity of his words, the honesty in them, made Emma's eyes fill with tears. She blinked them back, not wanting to seem emotional, but Mark noticed. "Too much?" he asked softly. She shook her head. "No. Just, unexpected." They stood there on the sidewalk, the world continuing around them, but for a moment, it felt like they existed in their own pocket of time. "I'd like to see you again too," Emma finally said. Mark's smile was worth every moment of fear she'd pushed through to get to this coffee shop. Asterisk asterisk asterisk. Their second date was dinner at a small Italian restaurant. Their third was a walk through the botanical gardens. By their fourth date, Emma realized she was falling for him in a way that both thrilled and terrified her. It was on their sixth date that Mark asked if she would like to meet Lily. "Are you sure?" Emma asked, setting down her fork. They were having dinner at his home, a charming craftsman-style house he'd renovated himself. "That's a big step." "I'm sure," Mark said. "Lily's been curious about you. I think she's surprised her old dad actually found someone who can tolerate him." Emma laughed, but nervousness fluttered in her stomach. Meeting his daughter felt significant, an acknowledgement that whatever was growing between them might have a future. "What if she doesn't like me?" The question slipped out before she could stop it. Mark reached across the table for her hand. "Lily's protective, but she's also fair. She just wants me to be happy." He paused. "And you make me happy, Emma." The dinner with Lily was arranged for the following weekend. Emma changed her outfit 3 times before settling on a casual blue dress that her sister had once told her brought out her eyes. She brought a small gift, a book of poetry Lily had mentioned being assigned in her AP literature class, but this was a special illustrated edition. Mark's house looked different in the daylight, somehow more lived in. Evidence of Lily was everywhere, photos on the walls, a jacket thrown over a chair, college brochures spread across the coffee table. When Lily walked into the room, Emma was struck by how much she resembled her father, the same warm brown eyes, the same thoughtful expression. But where Mark was calm waters, Lily seemed to vibrate with energy barely contained. "So you're Emma," Lily said, her gaze direct and assessing. "I am," Emma replied, offering the wrapped book. "Your dad mentioned you were reading Frost for class." Lily's eyebrows rose slightly as she took the gift. "Thank you." She unwrapped it carefully, her expression softening when she saw the beautiful cover. "This is really nice." The initial awkwardness gradually eased as they prepared dinner together. Emma found herself drawn into a debate about the ending of a novel both she and Lily had read, while Mark watched them with barely concealed delight. It wasn't until Mark stepped outside to take a call from work that Lily turned to Emma with renewed intensity. "My dad really likes you," she said without preamble. Emma felt heat rise to her cheeks. "I really like him too. He hasn't dated much since my mom left," Lily continued. "A few women here and there, but no one serious." She studied Emma carefully. "You're different. Is that a good thing?" Emma asked, trying to keep her voice light. Lily shrugged. "I don't know yet. But I do know my dad deserves someone who won't hurt him." The protectiveness in her voice made Emma's heart ache. This girl had watched her mother walk away, had grown up seeing her father put his own life on hold to raise her. "Lily," Emma said gently, "I can't promise what the future holds. But I can promise that I would never intentionally hurt your father. He's..." She paused, searching for words that wouldn't sound trite. "He's the kind of man I'd stopped believing existed." Lily's expression remained neutral, but something in her eyes softened. "He said you're a teacher?" English, high school. 23 years now. Do you like it? Teaching teenagers, I mean. Emma smiled. Most days. Teenagers are actually amazing. You're all on the edge of becoming who you'll be, but you're still figuring it out. It's a privilege to be part of that journey. For the first time, Lily smiled, a real smile that transformed her face. You sound like my dad. He always says the same thing about watching me grow up. When Mark returned, he found them sitting at the kitchen counter, looking through Lily's college application essays. The relief on his face was palpable. Later, as Emma was preparing to leave, Lily surprised her with a quick hug. You should come to my art show next weekend, she said. If you want to. I'd love to, Emma replied, touched by the invitation. In the driveway, Mark pulled Emma close. That went better than I expected, he murmured against her hair. She's wonderful, Mark. You've done an amazing job raising her. It hasn't always been easy, he admitted. There were times I wasn't sure I was doing anything right. Emma leaned back to look at him. The proof is in who she is. You should be proud. He kissed her then, softly, and Emma felt something settle inside her, a piece falling into place that she hadn't known was missing. Asterisk asterisk asterisk. The months that followed were filled with a happiness Emma had forgotten was possible. She and Mark fell into a comfortable rhythm, spending weekends together, cooking dinner, watching movies. Lily gradually warmed to her presence, sometimes joining them, other times giving them space. Emma found herself becoming part of their lives in small ways, helping Lily with college essays, bringing soup when Mark caught the flu, leaving little notes in his jacket pockets for him to find later. It was during spring break, nearly 6 months after their first date, that Mark suggested they take a short trip to the coast. Lily would be visiting a college campus with friends, and they would have a rare weekend completely to themselves. The beach house they rented was small but perfect, with windows that opened to the sound of waves. On their second night, they walked along the shore as the sun set, painting the sky in shades of pink and gold. I've been thinking, Mark said, his fingers laced with hers. Dangerous, Emma teased. He smiled, but there was a seriousness in his eyes that made her heart beat faster. When Caroline left, he said, mentioning his ex-wife by name for the first time, I thought that was it for me. I figured I'd focus on raising Lily, and maybe someday, when she was grown, I might try again. But I never really believed I'd find someone who would fit into our lives, who would understand what it means to love someone who comes with complications. Emma squeezed his hand. Everyone comes with complications, Mark. True, he acknowledged. But not everyone is willing to take them on. He stopped walking and turned to face her. You've changed everything, Emma. For both of us. The intensity in his eyes made her breath catch. Mark. I'm not proposing, he said quickly, a smile tugging at his lips. Not yet, anyway. I just wanted you to know that I love you. And I'm in this for as long as you'll have me. Emma felt tears prick at her eyes. At 47, she had resigned herself to a life alone, had convinced herself it was enough. Now, standing on a beach with this man who looked at her like she was everything he'd ever wanted, she realized how wrong she had been. I love you too, she said, the words coming easily, naturally. And I'm not going anywhere. He pulled her close, and they stood there as the last light faded from the sky, the sound of waves a constant rhythm around them. Asterisk asterisk asterisk. The call came on a Tuesday afternoon, while Emma was grading papers in her classroom. Lily's voice was tight with panic. Dad's in the hospital. He collapsed at work. They think it might be his heart. Emma's own heart seemed to stop. Which hospital? I'm on my way. The next hours passed in a blur of white corridors and hushed conversations with doctors. Mark had suffered a heart attack, not severe, but serious enough to require surgery. As they waited for him to come out of the operating room, Emma held Lily's hand, both of them silent with fear. When the doctor finally appeared, his expression was cautiously optimistic. The surgery went well. He's stable, but he'll need time to recover. Relief washed over Emma so strongly she felt dizzy with it. Beside her, Lily let out a sob that seemed to come from somewhere deep inside her. "Can we see him?" Emma asked. "Family only for now," the doctor replied, looking at Lily. Before Emma could step back, Lily's grip on her hand tightened. "She is family," Lily said firmly. "She's with me." The doctor nodded, and they followed him to the recovery room where Mark lay, pale but breathing steadily. Lily rushed to his side immediately, but Emma hung back, suddenly uncertain of her place. As if sensing her hesitation, Mark's eyes fluttered open, searching the room until they found her. He lifted his hand slightly, reaching for her, and Emma moved forward, taking it gently in her own. "You scared us," she whispered. His voice was hoarse when he replied. "Sorry about that." Lily wiped tears from her cheeks. "Dad, you have to take better care of yourself. The doctor said you've probably been ignoring symptoms for weeks." Mark had the grace to look sheepish. "I thought it was just stress." "Well, from now on, you're going to listen to your body," Emma said firmly. "And to us." The days that followed were a crash course in caregiving. Emma took time off work to help during Mark's initial recovery at home. She learned to change bandages, to monitor his medication, to recognize when he was pushing himself too hard. Lily, in the midst of preparing for her high school graduation, stepped up in ways that made Emma's heart swell with pride. They formed an unlikely team, the teenager and the English teacher, united in their determination to help the man they both loved heal. One evening, about 2 weeks after Mark came home from the hospital, Emma found Lily sitting alone on the back porch, staring out at the darkening sky. "Everything okay?" Emma asked, sitting beside her. Lily was quiet for a long moment. "I was so scared," she finally said, her voice small. "When they called from his office, all I could think was that I was going to lose him too." Emma put her arm around the girl's shoulders. "But you didn't. He's going to be fine." "Because of you," Lily said, looking at Emma directly. "The doctor said if we'd waited longer to get him to the hospital." She couldn't finish the sentence. "That wasn't me," Emma protested. "That was his coworker who called the ambulance." Lily shook her head. "No, I mean, before that. Dad's different since he met you. Happier. More present." She swallowed hard. "I used to worry all the time about what would happen when I left for college. Who would take care of him, make sure he wasn't just working all the time, forgetting to live?" Emma felt her throat tighten with emotion. "I don't worry about that anymore," Lily continued. "Because he has you now." The simple trust in those words humbled Emma. "I'll always be here for him," she promised. "For both of you." Lily leaned her head against Emma's shoulder, a gesture so natural and yet so profound that Emma had to blink back tears. From the doorway came Mark's voice, still weaker than normal but filled with emotion. "What are my two favorite people doing out here in the dark?" They turned to find him standing there, leaning slightly on his cane. He wasn't supposed to be up without help, and Emma started to rise, but he waved her back down. "I'm fine," he assured her. "Just needed to stretch my legs." He made his way carefully to the porch swing where they sat and lowered himself down on Emma's other side. In the fading light, with Mark and Lily beside her, Emma felt a sense of belonging so complete it almost hurt. "I've been thinking," Mark said after a while. Again with the thinking, Emma teased, echoing their conversation from the beach. He smiled, taking her hand. "I know the timing isn't ideal, with everything that's happened. But life is short and unpredictable, I think we've all been reminded of that lately." He. Mark took a slow breath, then looked at both of them, Emma and Lily, with a quiet smile. "I don't want to wait anymore," he said softly. Life already showed me how quickly everything can change. Emma's heart began to race. Mark. He reached into his pocket, pulling out a small ring. Emma, will you marry me? Tears filled her eyes as she covered her mouth in shock. For a moment, she couldn't speak, only nod. Yes, yes, I will. Lily let out a happy laugh, wiping her tears. Finally. That took you long enough, Dad. They all laughed, the kind of laughter that comes after fear, after waiting, after finding something real. And in that moment, Emma realized something she had once stopped believing. Love doesn't care about age. It only cares about finding the right heart.